"Ah," said she, "this is Lysander lying on the ground. Is he dead or asleep?" Then gently touching him, she said, "Good sir, if you're alive, awake." Upon this Lysander opened his eyes, and the love charm beginning to work, immediately addressed her in terms of extravagant love and admiration, telling her she as much excelled Hermia in beauty as a dove does a raven, and that he would run through fire for her sweet sake, and many more such lover-like speeches. Helena, knowing Lysander was her friend Hermia's lover, and that he was solemnly engaged to marry her, was in the utmost rage when she heard herself addressed in this manner, for she thought, as well she might, that Lysander was making a jest of her. "Oh," said she, "why was I born to be mocked and scorned by every one? Is it not enough, young man, that I can never get a sweet look or a kind word from Demetrius, but you, sir, must pretend in this disdainful manner to court me? I thought, Lysander, you were a lord of more true gentleness." Saying these words in great anger, she ran away, and Lysander followed her, quite forgetful of his own Hermia, who was still asleep. When Hermia awoke, she was in a sad fright at finding herself alone. She wandered about the wood, not knowing what was become of Lysander, or which way to go to seek for him. In the meantime Demetrius, not being able to find Hermia and his rival Lysander, and fatigued with the fruitless search, was observed by Oberon, fast asleep. Oberon had learned, by some questions he had asked of Puck, that he had applied the love charm to the wrong person's eyes, and now, having found the person first intended, he touched the eyelids of the sleeping Demetrius with the love juice, and he instantly awoke, and the first thing he saw being Helena, he, as Lysander had done before, began to address love speeches to her. And just at that moment Lysander, followed by Hermia, for through Puck's unlucky mistake it was now become Hermia's turn to run after her lover, made his appearance, and then Lysander and Demetrius, both speaking together, made love to Helena, they being each one under the influence of the same potent charm. The astonished Helena thought that Demetrius, Lysander, and her once dear friend Hermia were all in a plot together to make a jest of her. Hermia was as much surprised as Helena. She knew not why Lysander and Demetrius, who both before loved her, were now become the lovers of Helena, and to Hermia the matter seemed to be no jest. The ladies, who before had always been the dearest of friends, now fell to high words together. "Unkind Hermia," said Helena, "it is you have set Lysander on to vex me with mock praises, and your other lover Demetrius, who used almost to spurn me with his foot. Have you not bid him call me goddess, nymph, rare, precious, and celestial? He would not speak thus to me, whom he hates, if you did not set him on to make a jest of me. Unkind Hermia, to join with men in scorning your poor friend. Have you forgot our school-day friendship? How often, Hermia, have we two, sitting on one cushion, both singing one song, with our needles working the same flower, both on the same sampler wrought, growing up together in fashion of a double cherry, scarcely seeming parted? Hermia, it is not friendly in you, it is not maidenly to join with men in scorning your poor friend." "I am amazed at your passionate words," said Hermia. "I scorn you not, it seems you scorn me." "I do," returned Helena. "Persevere, counterfeit serious looks, and make mouths at me when I turn my back, then wink at each other, and hold the sweet jest up. If you had any pity, grace, or manners, you would not use me thus." While Helena and Hermia were speaking these angry words to each other, Demetrius and Lysander left them to fight together in the wood for the love of Helena. When they found the gentlemen had left them, they departed, and once more wandered weary in the wood in search of their lovers. As soon as they were gone, the fairy king, who with little Puck had been listening to their quarrel, said to him, "This is your negligence, Puck, or did you do this wilfully?" "Believe me, King of Shadows," answered Puck, "it was a mistake. Did you not tell me I should know the man by his Athenian garments? However, I am not sorry this has happened, for I think their jangling makes excellent sport." "You heard," said Oberon, "that Demetrius and Lysander are gone to seek a convenient place to fight in. I command you to overhang the night with a thick fog, and lead these quarrelsome lovers so astray in the dark that they shall not be able to find each other. Counterfeit each of their voices to the other, and with bitter taunts provoke them to follow you, while they think it is their rival's tongue they hear. See you do this till they are so weary they can go no farther, and when you find they are asleep, drop the juice of this other flower into Lysander's eyes, and when he awakes he will forget his new love for Helena, and return to his old passion for Hermia. And then the two fair ladies may each one be happy with the man she loves, and they will think all that has passed a vexatious dream. And I will go see what sweet love my Titania has found." Titania was still sleeping, and Oberon, seeing a clown near her, who had lost his way in the wood and was likewise asleep, "This fellow," said he, "shall be my Titania's true love." and clapping an ass's head over the clown's, it seemed to fit him as well as if it had grown upon his own shoulders. Though Oberon fixed the ass's head on very gently, it awakened him, and rising up, unconscious of what Oberon had done to him, he went toward the bower where the fairy queen slept. "Ah, what angel is that I see?" said Titania, opening her eyes, and the juice of the little purple flower beginning to take effect. "Are you as wise as you are beautiful?" "Why, mistress," said the foolish clown, "if I have wit enough to find the way out of this wood, I have enough to serve my turn." "Out of the wood do not desire to go," said the enamored queen. "I am a spirit of no common rate. I love you. Go with me, and I will give you fairies to attend upon you." She then called 4 of her fairies. Their names were Peaseblossom, Cobweb, Moth, and Mustard seed. "Attend," said the queen, "upon this sweet gentleman. Hop in his walks, and gambol in his sight, feed him with grapes and apricots, and steal for him the honey bags from the bees. Come, sit with me," said she to the clown, "and let me play with your amiable hairy cheeks, my beautiful ass, and kiss your fair large ears, my gentle joy." "Where is Peaseblossom?" said the ass-headed clown, not much regarding the fairy queen's courtship, but very proud of his new attendants. "Here, sir," said little Peaseblossom. "Scratch my head," said the clown. "Where is Cobweb?" "Here, sir," said Cobweb. "Good Mr. Cobweb," said the foolish clown, "kill me the red bumblebee on the top of that thistle yonder, and, good Mr. Cobweb, bring me the honey bag. Do not fret yourself too much in the action, Mr. Cobweb, and take care the honey bag break not. I should be sorry to have you overflown with a honey bag. Where is Mustard seed?" "Here, sir," said Mustard seed. "What is your will?" "Nothing," said the clown, "good Mr. Mustard seed, but to help Mr. Peaseblossom to scratch. I must go to a barber's, Mr. Mustard seed, for methinks I am marvellous hairy about the face." "My sweet love," said the queen, "what will you have to eat? I have a venturous fairy shall seek the squirrel's hoard, and fetch you some new nuts." "I'd rather have a handful of dried peas," said the clown, who, with his ass's head, had got an ass's appetite. "But I pray, let none of your people disturb me, for I have a mind to sleep." "Sleep, then," said the queen, "and I will wind you in my arms. Oh, how I love you, how I dote upon you!" When the fairy king saw the clown sleeping in the arms of his queen, he advanced within her sight, and reproached her with having lavished her favors upon an ass. This she could not deny, as the clown was then sleeping within her arms, with his ass's head crowned by her with flowers. When Oberon had teased her for some time, he again demanded the changeling boy, which she, ashamed of being discovered by her lord with a new favorite, did not dare to refuse him. Oberon, having thus obtained the little boy he had so long wished for to be his page, took pity on the disgraceful situation into which, by his merry contrivance, he had brought his Titania, and threw some of the juice of the other flower into her eyes, and the fairy queen immediately recovered her senses, and wondered at her late dotage, saying how she now loathed the sight of the strange monster. Oberon likewise took the ass's head from off the clown, and left him to finish his nap with his own fool's head upon his shoulders. Oberon and his Titania being now perfectly reconciled, he related to her the history of the lovers and their midnight quarrels, and she agreed to go with him and see the end of their adventures. The fairy king and queen found the lovers and their fair ladies at no great distance from one another, sleeping on a grass plot, for Puck, to make amends for his former mistake, had contrived with the utmost diligence to bring them all to the same spot, unknown to one another, and he had carefully removed the charm from off the eyes of Lysander with the antidote the fairy king gave to him. Hermia first awoke, and finding her lost Lysander asleep so near her, was looking at him and wondering at his strange inconstancy. Lysander presently opening his eyes, and seeing his dear Hermia, recovered his reason which the fairy charm had before clouded, and with his reason his love for Hermia, and they began to talk over the adventures of the night, doubting if these things had really happened, or if they had both been dreaming the same bewildering dream. Helena and Demetrius were by this time awake, and a sweet sleep having quieted Helena's disturbed and angry spirits, she listened with delight to the professions of love which Demetrius still made to her, and which, to her surprise as well as pleasure, she began to perceive were sincere. These fair night-wandering ladies, now no longer rivals, became once more true friends. All the unkind words which had passed were forgiven, and they calmly consulted together what was best to be done in their present situation. It was soon agreed that, as Demetrius had given up his pretensions to Hermia, he should endeavor to prevail upon her father to revoke the cruel sentence of death which had been passed against her. Demetrius was preparing to return to Athens for this friendly purpose, when they were surprised with the sight of Aegeus, Hermia's father, who came to the wood in pursuit of his runaway daughter. When Aegeus understood that Demetrius would not now marry his daughter, he no longer opposed her marriage with Lysander, but gave his consent that they should be wedded on the 4th day from that time, being the same day on which Hermia had been condemned to lose her life. And on that same day Helena joyfully agreed to marry her beloved and now faithful Demetrius. The fairy king and queen, who were invisible spectators of this reconciliation, and now saw the happy ending of the lovers' history, brought about through the good offices of Oberon, received so much pleasure that these kind spirits resolved to celebrate the approaching nuptials with sports and revels throughout their fairy kingdom. And now, if any are offended with the story of fairies and their pranks, as judging it incredible and strange, they have only to think that they have been asleep and dreaming, and that all these adventures were visions which they saw in their sleep. And I hope none of my readers will be so unreasonable as to be offended with a pretty, harmless Midsummer Night's Dream. End of story.